It's just too sweet. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live from the Bmw of Atlantic City studios here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. I am the newest member of the Bullet Club, none other than Matt Sudi, along with Broken Rob Povia. And the scribe himself, the Darkwing Brian Daly.
I'm here. You can't see me, but I am here.
Yes, he's here in spirit. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. Like I said, we are live from the Bmw of Atlantic City studios here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey, and we are brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. Gentlemen, the conference finals are here. We started off with 16 teams, and we are now down to our final 4 before the Stanley Cup Finals. And in the East, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins coming off of a come-from-behind victory in a Game 7, I guess you would say it, because most people thought the Capitals were going to win, including this guy right here, unfortunately.
Me too.
And then all that rain we got over the weekend, that was all the Washington Capitals fans' tears washing through New Jersey as they couldn't accept the fact that their Capitals choked again right out of the playoffs.
It's far worse for me than it is for you, my friend, because I actually went out and said the scenario, if they started Fleury, Caps would win. They started Murray, Penguins would win. Well, not only did Fleury start, having 2 shutouts in the last 3, I don't even know what I'm doing on this show.
Nonetheless, though, Washington eliminated once again. Ovechkin falls and drops the knee to Sidney Crosby once again. And the Penguins move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they face off with the Ottawa Senators, who defeated the New York Rangers in 6 games in a very tight-checking series. And now it's become even more tight-checking, shockingly enough, between Ottawa and Pittsburgh, now tied at 1 apiece. Ottawa with an OT win, Pittsburgh with a 1-0 shutout victory against Ottawa yesterday. And in the West, we have the Nashville Predators, who have been the underdog story, I would have to say, of this Stanley Cup playoffs after sweeping the Blackhawks and getting through the St. Louis Blues in 6. They now find themselves up against Brian Daly's own Anaheim Ducks as they flap their wings and fly the V as they've gone through the first round, defeating the Calgary Flames. Then they had to face another young Canadian team in the Edmonton Oilers, and the Oilers pushed them to their limits as they pushed the Oilers to their limits into another Game 7 that ended in overtime. The Ducks, in dramatic fashion, finally ended their Game 7 curse, moving on to the Western Conference Finals. So I'm pretty sure you're walking on cloud 9 right now.
Sort of. I am, but I'm not, because I know there's still more work to be done.
True.
But yeah, for the most part, I mean, I like what this team has done so far. I like the way they came out, and I don't like the way they started in Game 7, but I like the way that they finished.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy.
I mean, they did give up a pretty bad one there at the beginning. It was kind of like,
don't even get me started.
Oh, wow.
On that.
That was a bad one.
I told you.
A bad one.
I told you, bonehead move by Shea Theodore.
It was. He was carrying it in front of the net. That was a stupid move on his part. You know, Edmonton pushing the body like they've done all series, and it wound up colliding with Gibby back there, and there was nothing you could do about it.
Just a really good poke check. Just went in. That seems to be the Achilles heel of the Anaheim Ducks right now, is overcoming puck luck from the other teams.
Well, I mean, so far, though, Anaheim and Nashville have been pretty dead even, so I don't know how much puck luck there is. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nashville did have to pull off an upset on Anaheim in Game 1, but still, it's tied at 1 apiece. They go to Nashville for their first game in Nashville of the series, Game 3, tied at 1 apiece. Both series are mirror images of each other. Neither team really has the advantage in the series. So now we dive into Game 3s with the change of scenery. Pittsburgh gets to go to Ottawa this time around, and Nashville will be the setting for Game 3. Do you think that this may shift the series possibly in the favor of either Ottawa or Nashville, with the change of location being in their home turf?
I think certainly with Ottawa. I mean, they want to get some home cooking in the series. They were, fortunate in Game 1 to take 1 of 2 in Pittsburgh and putting really Pittsburgh's back against the wall in Game 2. They had to have that game, and that, too, a 1-0 game. What's been really impressive about the Senators for me has been their penalty kill. I believe the Penguins were 0 for 5 in Game 1, 0 for 1 last night, so, totals 0 for 6. I wasn't a math major, but I think that's right. So that's going to only increase in your home turf. Plus, their power play has been better at home. So special teams advantage goes to the Ottawa Senators. With the Preds, I mean, the same could be said, but I think these are just two evenly matched teams. It really doesn't matter whether they're playing in Anaheim and Nashville. I can easily see this series going 1-1-1-1, and it comes down to Game 7, sorry. But they've already conquered that curse.
Game 7, so I'm not worried.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. But what's refreshing to see is what you started off with, Maddie, right? Two evenly paired teams in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, not surprisingly tied 1-1 in each series, really showing the excellent parity in the NHL, albeit the Penguins are the defending champions and have a chance to repeat, but there's 3 other damn good teams that I think have equal, if not better, chance of taking home that cup. A far cry from the NBA.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, with the NBA, it's pretty much just a competition between 2 or 3 teams. But anyway, anybody can win these series, as Rob was basically saying, and it's a pretty exciting situation. I mean, Ottawa could wind up beating Pittsburgh and facing off with Nashville. Anaheim could wind up facing off with Pittsburgh. Anaheim could wind up facing Ottawa in a rematch of a Stanley Cup final. The possibilities are there, and there are there's a legitimate chance that any one of those scenarios could actually happen. For me, I look at it this way. The home ice, for me, I think it's really going to come to play here. I think you're onto something with that, Rob, with Ottawa, because Ottawa has been playing extremely well. No offense to Nashville by any stretch of the imagination, but I think Anaheim, that Edmonton series, I think, pretty much proves that Anaheim can take any really bad situation and turn it around, because there was some really bad ones in that Edmonton series, and they were able to turn it around, get a win at the end of the day, and a much-needed win. For example, would have been when Edmonton pulled that comeback, forced overtime, and Anaheim still managed to get the win nonetheless. So a big, big victory for them there. I can see something like that happening in this series, where Nashville comes back, ties the game up, and then goes to overtime, and Anaheim still manages to chalk up a victory, whether it be in 1 overtime or 2 overtimes. I can still see that happening. And plus, this is also a revenge opportunity for Anaheim. Let's not forget that, because, as we all recall, last year, Anaheim was eliminated by these Nashville Predators. So that's a big chance for Anaheim to get some revenge here and say to Nashville, what you did last year was a fluke. That was not us playing in that first round.
I mean, they played that. Well, I believe it was the second round, actually.
What, between Nashville and Anaheim?
Oh, no, you're right. It was
first round, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, Anaheim played well in Game 7. They came out in Game 1, and they competed with Nashville. They competed with Nashville in Game 2. The thing that seems to be, and I said this earlier, regarding the Edmonton series, Anaheim has been having a run this playoffs where they had to overcome puck luck. Perfect example, again, in Game 1, overtime. Corey Perry deflects the puck into his own net.
This is true.
So, I mean, Anaheim's overcoming all that. I can't be upset at the fact that, yeah, it's a deflection, yeah, it's a loss, but they're overcoming all kinds of puck luck, and they're still winning hockey games. They're still winning series, so I can't be too upset.
No doubt about it. Quick trivia question: how many road power play goals have the Anaheim Ducks scored in this year's playoffs?
This year's?
Yes.
I believe the answer is 0.
That is correct. So certainly Anaheim, maybe I was too quick to brush upon that on the road, is going to need to step up their game on the power play to match the 20%, to almost 21% that they're scoring at home on their respective power play. And I want to stat correct myself. The Senators have actually been stronger on the road in these playoffs with an 18.2% power play rate, at home 9.1%. So it is actually a drop-off going at home. I apologize for that. They'll need to step that up in order to, because you're not going to win these games 2-1, 1-0 with the firepower that the Penguins have.
No, not at all. I mean, Penguins are too good of a team, and yeah, they're missing pieces, but they're too good of a team. You're not going to be able to beat a team like Pittsburgh. They're deep, they're fast, they're quick, they know how to score, they can move the puck. In order to beat Pittsburgh, like you saw last night, frustration was becoming very, very, very noticeable in that Pittsburgh team.
Yeah,
so
big time.
So what you do there is you take advantage of it. You try and draw a penalty. Like, I forget who it was, but tried to get a penalty drawn on Malkin for roughing. He didn't get the penalty call, but that's what you want to do. Malkin's already frustrated as it is. He's going to take a stupid penalty. You make him pay for it on the power play.
No, that is true. I mean, that's something that I think is going to come into being a key factor is the special teams. And obviously special teams playing the big part with Ottawa in their series, managing to keep themselves under control and be as stingy as humanly possible on their penalty kill and just being phenomenal in that regard, having to shut down the Pittsburgh Penguins, which has one of the most tough dynamic offenses you could ask for in the entire NHL, not just the Eastern Conference. For them to shut them out on the penalty kill, that speaks volumes right there of what Ottawa can do and what Ottawa's been able to do this entire playoffs, and that is just play very solid defensive hockey and managing to survive in very tough situation. I mean, they did not have an easy first round. Boston gave them some fits. They had a very tough second round with the New York Rangers. Now it's not getting any easier. You know, it has progressively got harder for Ottawa.
Right.
And now they're facing their toughest opponent to date, and that's the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Ottawa's shown that they do not crack under the pressure, as some teams would. You put other teams in this scenario, they might crack, and they start realizing, oh shit, we're facing Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we need to win 4 games off them in order to go to Stanley Cup Finals. Doesn't really seem like it's hitting them too much. But one thing I will point out, though, these two teams are not strangers to each other. Ottawa has faced Pittsburgh on a couple of occasions in the playoffs, albeit the team was a little different. Bobby Ryan was not on the team last time these two teams faced off. I believe Kyle Turris wasn't even on the team last time these two teams met each other, which was the semifinals. And Ottawa had Paul McLean as their head coach. And
Die hard.
yeah, and they lost in that series, I believe, in 6 games, I believe it was. Maybe 5. It was one of the two, but I know Pittsburgh wound up winning that series. So it is still a rematch for them, the chance for Ottawa to finally get back at Pittsburgh and to do it in a really big fashion. Nothing like defeating the defending champs when the defending champs are literally on the doorstep of returning to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's the greatest knife you could stab right into their chest. Just peel out their heart. The only thing that could be worse is if you could set it on fire, and the only way you could do that is if you win the Stanley Cup off of them.
Or a little bit of both. Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Set that shit on fire.
Boy, you know what? That's great because I'm visioning that happening to Sidney Crosby right now. You're awesome, Rob. That is awesome. Nothing like seeing.
Tell them something they don't know already.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, Crosby doesn't even have a heart anyway, so that's a different story.
You have no heart.
I think it's funny watching Malkin get more frustrated than Crosby has been.
Well, it's because Malkin's been scoring up a storm. I think that's the reason why.
I loved it. I was watching the end of the game last night. I got home from work and I got to catch most of the game and just watching Malkin get frustrated. He was actually hacking and whacking at Kyle Turris. And when I watch Evgeny Malkin get frustrated, I love it because then at some point he's going to take a stupid penalty and it's going to boil over.
Yeah, it is, and that's actually huge because Ottawa's power play has been pretty solid so far through this playoff. Hasn't really been a struggle for them whatsoever. You know, and they've done well against the New York Rangers in the past, and that was the major series that was going to test them, and they survived that test. So now the question is, with that all being said, do you think that Ottawa wins Game 3, takes a 2-1 lead in the series, and Rob has already stated you think it's going to go 1-1, 1-1 down the line. Brian, I want to ask, do you think they'll take Game 3 in that 1-1 split?
You talking about Anaheim?
No, Ottawa and Pittsburgh.
Oh, you're talking Ottawa and Pittsburgh. Pardon me. No. I said that about Anaheim and Edmonton. 1-1,
okay,
1-1.
Yeah, gotcha.
In this one here, I do expect still, though, Ottawa to win this game, kind of mimicking that setup, just because they're really clogging up the neutral zone very well and making, like you said, Malkin frustrated, Sidney Crosby frustrated, really giving them no room to breathe. I don't see any reason why that won't continue. They're a young team. They're a very motivated team, really playing for their goaltender. And we've talked about that story time and time again. Certainly bears repeating, with Craig Anderson's wife receiving cancer treatment and surgery for throat cancer, and in that recovery. Whenever you have a team with a higher purpose, there's just no stopping them. And to your point, you said that this could be this year's magical team. Pittsburgh's suck and win right now, and they've had to play a playoffs minus a lot of key points, especially on their blue line. So I think Ottawa can come in and win this game, but in order to do that, it's going to take not the 2 goals that you saw in Game 1, but I think it'll take at least 4 goals to win this game in Ottawa. I expect a lot more goal-scoring production. I mean, despite Fleury, at 2 shutouts in 3 games, I think eventually you get to him here, and this is where you do.
Yeah, last night, Fleury was just unbelievable. So many good scoring chances for Ottawa. Fleury just was better. And I think one of the things that is really helping Ottawa stay in this series and not getting blown out is playing the 1-3-1.
Yeah.
And the way that they're playing it, they're disguising it really well, and Pittsburgh hasn't caught on to it yet.
Well,
Guy Boucher.
Yeah. I mean, let's not undercut that, because Guy Boucher, he also led another team to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that team was the Tampa Bay Lightning. And their goalie was Dwayne Rollison, who was almost 40 at that time. So, and this was when Stamkos was really young. So we're talking like early years of Steven Stamkos, where they had really nobody else. So when you're taking a team like that, you can get them to the Eastern Conference Finals. You're looking at an Ottawa team that has a lot of talent, both on the back end and on the front. And you've got a really great goaltender in Craig Anderson, who's just been lights out, doing the job that they've been doing, shutting down the Pittsburgh Penguins. Because also, let's keep this in mind. What was the one time we saw Washington spank Pittsburgh? It was when they controlled the neutral zone.
Yes.
And that was Game 6.
Yes.
What did they not do in Game 7? They did not control the neutral zone. It was all Pittsburgh there in Game 7. Washington could barely get any scoring chances down on Fleury. And what ones they did, they were good. I mean, Ovechkin's shot hit the post and went flying out of play, but still, close doesn't count here, and Fleury still stood on his head. Point is, though, you clog up that neutral zone like you were talking about, and that shuts down the Penguins. That's what Washington did in Game 6. They did not do it in Game 7, and that cost them right there.
As far as I know, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, not hockey. See, this is what's tough about predicting any series that the Penguins are in, because they can always take it up to that higher gear. And that's what you saw in Game 7 against Washington. Backs against the wall, obviously, elimination game for both teams. And they just flipped that light switch and just raised it up another level. You didn't see that last night. That's not why Pittsburgh won that game. Fleury stole that game. Ottawa could have easily been up 2-0 in this series. So, do they flip that switch? Does Fleury continue this hot wave? I say in Game 4, not Game 3.
So you think Fleury's going to be brought back down to earth a little bit in Game 3?
I mean, there's nothing telling me that will happen, but that's got to happen if the Senators are going to win this game. If the Senators win 2 goals or less, Pittsburgh's winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it like at a certain point, it's usually most teams average about 2 goals a game. So you want to try and get that third goal, because that third goal more than likely is going to be your game winner. Mm-hmm. So I totally see your point. But I think, being home, being in front of the crowd, getting, I think Ottawa's going to win Game 3. But I also think Ottawa's going to take Game 4 too.
Yeah.
So you think it's going to be a 3-1 lead?
Going back to Pittsburgh.
You know what the funny part is, Brian? I actually agree with you. And here's the reason why I agree. I think Ottawa...
I don't like this. We've been agreeing too much.
We have been. This is really weird. We've been doing a show way too long together. You're fired. Anyway, moving on.
I'll see you guys later.
So, with that being said...
Stop firing the producer.
I can't help it. I can't agree with him. This is not what we're supposed to do. We need a producer that's going to piss me off. And
Ducks
right now
fan.
he's not. Although the show's not over yet.
Don't
so
be
we'll
mad because I'm in the conference finals and your team's playing golf.
I know.
Okay, we'll see.
Exactly
Hold on there. Relax.
I'm not pulling any
Relax.
punches.
We'll see if they win a Stanley Cup. They got to get through Nashville first of all, and history hasn't proven that too favorable for you guys. So let's calm that down for a second.
Hey now.
Now, back to what I was saying with Ottawa. Ottawa, I think, has just been playing so well in this playoffs, and that's the one thing too. They're a sleeper team. They're scared. They're the scary teams. Mm-hmm. Why are they a sleeper team? Because they're the ones people forgot all about. People forgot all about Ottawa. Ottawa just showed up like, oh, yeah, that's right. The Senators are in the playoffs. Oh, yeah. the Senators, the team that was leading the Atlantic Division at the very beginning of the season. Sure, you could say that they were overplaying and just playing more up. Maybe that wasn't a fluke. Maybe they legitimately could have won the Atlantic Division. It just wound up coming back down to earth a little fast.
Sure.
Look at what they did to Boston. They controlled Boston. They shut them down. Sure, Boston was a little bit of a struggle there. The Rangers, that's a huge victory right there because the Rangers, yeah, they were a wild card team, but let's call it what it is. The only reason why is because our division is terrible. It's one of the worst divisions you could be in because it's so congested and very tough to go through that talent.
Right.
And the Rangers managed to fight through all of that, be third place in the division, or not third place, wound up being wild card in the division, and they managed to defeat the Montreal Canadiens, which is not an easy feat. And then you face off with Ottawa, and Ottawa never really struggled against them. Ottawa was good with them. Ottawa was solid against the Rangers. If anything, they could shut the Rangers down. I think they could do the same to Pittsburgh. If they can play that same kind of hockey they played in that semifinal series, Pittsburgh's in trouble. Pittsburgh needs to score an absorbent amount of goals in order for them to win this. Because unlike the Washington series where that was a shootout, this isn't going to be a shootout. Or at least Ottawa doesn't want it to be a shootout. Because if that's the case, they don't win. It's as simple as that. So for Ottawa, shutting them down, and I know they can do it. They can do it to New York. They could do it to Pittsburgh. I believe that wholeheartedly. You could do it to New York. You could do it to Pittsburgh.
No, I wholehearted agree. I think the two offenses between Pittsburgh and the Rangers are fairly similar. They're both deep. They both move the puck well. They're both very fast. But I think it all comes down on how you play them, and I think Ottawa played the Rangers really well as far as transitioning goes. And Ottawa's been doing the same thing with Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Ottawa's been playing the transition game pretty well. They're forechecking really well. Their back check has been pretty good. They're not really giving Pittsburgh many second chances to get the loose rebounds of the puck.
Yep, and that's been a major problem. That was haunting Washington. Columbus could never figure that out. So that was some of the major sins that were going on in the last couple of series. That's not happening right now. So that's huge right now in Ottawa's favor. That they're basically picking up the loose change and they're not letting Pittsburgh walk around with it. It's as simple as that. That's how you defeat Pittsburgh in the long run. People want to know how you beat this new Pittsburgh offense. You do what Ottawa's doing right now because they did the same thing to the New York Rangers. Like Brian said, similar offense. Now, does it always work? No. You're still going to lose to Pittsburgh, but you can win more games than you lose to them. That's the major factor here of what Ottawa can do.
Agreed, man. And what's surprising for Ottawa, and I'll continue to say this, is the play of J.G. Pajot. Thank you. It sounds so good in my brain before my lips move. But anyway, continues to be an MVP of this team. And then Bobby Ryan, on top of that, really showing up game winner in game one of this series. Certainly has had his fair share of goals throughout the series. Having a dynamite playoffs. Now, the reason why I bring up Bobby Ryan real quick here is that I'm seeing a lot on social media about, Flyers fans clamoring that the Flyers should go out and get Bobby Ryan, right, from the Senators. Now I get it. If he was nearing the end of his contract, this would be a good situation for the Ottawa Senators to sell high on him, right? But just looking at his contract information, he signed a 7-year deal in 2015, which means he's not a free agent until 2022. And he's grossing between average salary of $7.25 million, back-ended a little bit to be $7.5 million towards the. So that idea, it sounds great. Bobby Ryan grew up a Flyers fan, obviously from Cherry Hill. That is a dream scenario. I just don't see how that gets done.
That doesn't. And the fact that any fan is bringing that up is ridiculous. I mean, these are probably the same morons who are thinking about Ben Bishop. No offense, Brian. But the thing about it is that why would you go out and get a veteran talent who has talent, but he also struggled at first? Let's not forget that. Just because he's doing well in the playoffs, what did he do during the regular season? He disappeared during the regular season.
Right.
Do you really want to take that gamble and have him disappear on the Flyers? Because imagine who you got to trade to get that anyway.
Right.
You have to package a Wayne Simmons, who's the best player we have right now on the team. You have to package, and you pray to God they'll be willing to take a Jake Voracek's contract off of your hands so you can actually pay the contract to Bobby Ryan and put him on your cap. That's an impossibility. You cannot do that. And then you have to give up prospects to go along with it.
Right.
So, no, absolutely not. You do not do that. And by the way, if you're thinking, oh, well, we got the second overall pick, yes, we don't have the cap room. So that isn't going to happen either.
Right.
That's the dumbest thing I think I've heard all offseason for the Flyers so far. Please, by all means, stop talking about hockey. You don't know what you're fucking talking about.
I'd give up Wayne Simmons in a heartbeat to get Bobby Ryan.
That's my point, though. You'd have to give him up for it, but you'd also have to give up other things for Bobby Ryan.
Well, I mean, you might not necessarily have to give up Wayne Simmons, but you'll definitely have to put a little package together and hope that they can take the bait on some of these other guys, like maybe
like a Jake Voracek.
Well, I was going to go along the lines and say maybe you package together, maybe try and have them take the Andrew McDonald contract.
You could try that. I don't know if they would be really willing to buy on that. That's the thing, though.
Well, I mean, if you make the package look good and you just kind of slide them in there.
I mean, you could try that. I mean, we'll see.
Kind of like Antonio Cromartie. Can't pull
Right.
out. Yeah, I got it.
I mean, that's all I'm really thinking of is you can still hold on to Wayne Simmons and you get your number one winger that the Flyers desperately need, scoring winger.
That would be great and all, but again, the thing is, though, is that you have to take into the cap issues. You have to also take into the fact of, what do you have to give up for him? What does Ottawa want in return for Bobby Ryan? And not only that, too, the worst problem is his regular season play is not stellar, and that's not something that I want to see, because guess what? You're great during the postseason, but you disappear during the regular season. Well, then what the fuck good are you? Seriously, we're waiting for you to get us to the postseason. We have to get to the postseason for you to wake up and play your game. No, that's not how this works. You play during 82 games of the regular season. I don't want to hear that. I'm the first one to tell you right now, Claude Giroux did not have a great year. He could have had a better year as the captain. He should have, and he didn't. Bobby Ryan would be the same way. If he's not scoring goals in the regular season, he ain't doing his job. Simple as that. I don't want to see another disappearing winger. We've already got Jake Voracek on the team. We don't need another one.
I wouldn't necessarily say he disappears.
But he pretty much did this past season.
Yeah, but I believe that's because he was hurt and he didn't tell anybody.
Well, okay, you can say that, but then the other problem is what if he comes to Philly and he doesn't fit in the system?
Right.
It's a risk you got to take. He's a proven 30-goal scorer, though, and the Flyers don't have that.
I got that, but the thing is, though, is that with the situation that you're in now, you got to say, okay, well, what are you trying to do here? Not only that, also take into account of what are we going to do with the prospects. Again, this goes back to the cap issues you run into. What happens then when you got a long-term contract? You put another long-term contract on the salary, and then the same problem is then that hamstrings you being able to bring up young prospects in the near future. It just sounds like it's a complete mess. It doesn't sound like it's something you should go with. If this was a situation where the Flyers did not have any really handicapping contracts or didn't have any really long ones on the salary, then no problem. Go out and try it and see what happens. But there's just way too much going on in the salary cap, way too many long-term deals, way too many problems to bring up young prospects if you do this move. I'm not saying Bobby Ryan's not a talented goal scorer. I'm not saying that he's not a good player. I'm just saying last year does not prove much to me at all. Whether he was hurt or not sure. But still, at the end of the day, though, I don't like that. That's not a good gamble to take when he didn't have a good regular season, and we have to wait for the postseason for him to do anything? No, because what if you miss the postseason? Then you just wasted a trade.
I don't like that.
So that to me, it just sounds like there's too many red flags. Way too many red flags.
Well,
with this team that's retooling, why not the risk? Why not take the risk?
Because you have younger players that you can go with, and you should build them up first before you start thinking about trying to get those veteran pieces in place.
I don't disagree with that essentially, but at the same time, you need a proven 30-goal scorer, and that's what Bobby Ryan brings.
He is, but at the same time, also you got to think about we have other 30-goal. We have a 30-goal scorer on the team.
Wayne Simmons?
Yeah.
Okay. What's wrong with having two?
There's nothing wrong with having two, but at the same time, you also got to look at the cap situation.
Yeah, that's why you trade. That's why you trade cap space away.
You do try that, but the thing is, though, is that what is Ottawa going to buy it? That's the thing, though. You gotta make the deal look sexy to Ottawa, and you can tempt them with a Wayne Simmons. But then at the same time, then you also throw out a Jake Voracek who didn't have a great season. And then you look at a Claude Giroux possibly moving, but he's the captain. Then you got to figure out who your new captain's going to be. And then to add to it, then you can also try and say, well, we'll throw in an Andrew McDonald, but then you really got to throw something else in there like a prospect because you know for a fact that they're not going to want to make a move if Andrew McDonald's tagged into anything without other considerations in there. Then maybe you could throw the number 2 overall pick at them then if you're going to try and get rid of an Andrew McDonald that way. But
I wouldn't trade away a number 2 overall pick for a 30-year-old.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that's my point. It doesn't seem like it's a smart move. Let's not jump to conclusions. Let's not try and make that big splash this year. Let's focus on just fixing our situation right now. If we have to trade Andrew McDonald, so be it, and I want him to go, but we got to pick the right situation. Don't trade another long-term contract for another long-term contract. It just doesn't seem smart to me.
It's called jump to conclusions. You get it? You get it?
Yep.
I love Office Space.
Either way, though, that's that. And for that being said, no, do not go out and get Bobby Ryan.
My vote's yes.
Let's work on this team. Let's not focus on just putting more salary onto the cap that we don't need. Not at this moment.
My vote's yes.
Okay. Well, we'll agree to disagree. We had to disagree on something at some point. We finally did.
I just wanted to bring it to you guys because I had a certain way of feeling about this. I see that I side more with yourself. I would love to have Bobby Ryan. I don't like the cost. And this successful playoff run is only increasing that price tag.
Good point.
Increase.
All right. So we'll talk about the Western Conference Finals on the other side. And then we'll get into Around the League and then this day in hockey history. But first, let's talk to you about Liberty Event Rentals. They're located in 2154 East Cambria Street in Philadelphia, PA. You can give them a call, 267-314-7368. They have tables, chairs, tents, linens, anything for your party or event needs. And you can reach them at www.libertyeventrentals.com. This is the Hockey Happy Hour on A2DRadio.com. We will be right back after this. A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Fellas, you ever come in from that baseball or football game and your woman won't come near you because you stink beyond belief? Then you need Soap Stash. You should never settle for a generic hygiene product that only covers up the stench. Treat your skin with the best nutrients. Feel clean with the only soap you'll need. The highest grade carrier oils are ingrained in all of their products, which are 100% natural and terrific for your skin. No sulfates, parabens, or phthalates, and synthetic fragrance free. Contact Soap Stash for your sample package and give your woman what she deserves. You can contact Soap Stash at 844-890-3197 or visit them on the web at soapstash.com or Facebook at Soapstash LLC. Once again, their number is 844-890-3197. Soap Stash, the new soap standard.
You're listening to the Hockey Happy Hour, only on A2DRadio.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live from the Bmw of Atlantic City studios here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. And speaking of which, have you ever wanted the ultimate driving experience? Well, then go to Bmw of Atlantic City. They're easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 of the Parkway, located in 6037 Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. Give them a call at 609-568-9200. They are online at www.bmwofatlanticcity.com.
Every time you slam it, I'm going to delete it.
Obsolete. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and it is now time for us to dive into the Western Conference Finals, the battle between Nashville and Anaheim. The Ducks, who went through Calgary and Edmonton, the two young teams that have got bright futures ahead of them. And don't worry, folks, if you're a fan of either one of those teams, they got Stanley Cups coming somewhere down the line. But
The Bucks of Youth.
the Bucks of Youth, as we like to call them. Meanwhile, on the other side, you have the Nashville Predators, the underdog story of this playoffs. The feel-good story may be Ottawa, but the underdog story is the Nashville Predators, who have come basically out of the wild card, almost out of obscurity, if you will, and swept the Chicago Blackhawks, the former 3-time Stanley Cup champions. Went on to face off with the St. Louis Blues, who had reared back and made the playoffs at the very tail end and managed to defeat them in 6. And now they face the Anaheim Ducks, who have taken out two of the youngest, hottest teams in the Western Conference on their road to the Western Conference Finals. Gentlemen, Game 3, Nashville, Tennessee. A sea of yellow and blue everywhere you look. Who wins? Do the Ducks walk away with a road win in Game 3? Or do the Nashville Predators retake the lead in the series 2-1 with their first game and their first Western Conference Finals game ever in Nashville?
I'll go first. It usually helps to unmute myself.
Do it all the time.
Oh man, I'm embarrassed. Anyway, I'll take this one, Rob, since you had that ponder look on your face.
I did, man. This is tough. Both series are pretty tough to predict, but we'll do our best.
I think Anaheim takes Game 3. Ryan Kesler and Ryan Johansen, this saga is going to continue throughout the entire series. And Ryan Kesler is going to continue to shut these guys down. And he's going to continue to frustrate them. And that's just going to open up the scoring for Anaheim a little bit more. Because a frustrated forward is going to frustrate the entire line. And they're going to start showing it, and they're going to start taking bad penalties. And Anaheim's power play, yeah, that they haven't hit a power play goal on the road yet this postseason. But all bad things come to an end. And I think eventually it's going to get to that point. And Pekka Rinne is starting to come down to earth a little bit.
Well,
He's not playing as well in this series so far from what I've seen as he has in previous rounds. He's starting to come down to earth a little bit.
They got tired defense in front of them, too, a little bit, too.
Yeah.
They're feeling it.
well, I mean, this Nashville team.
Tough tournament.
It is.
It is. I mean, Nashville very much overachieving to get here. But we knew that this Nashville team has something going on. That's the thing about this. If they get a couple of more pieces, they're there. Like there's no debating that anymore. They could easily go. I mean, hell, if the trade for Bobby Ryan wound up going to Nashville's way, look out for Nashville. Nashville's just pretty much might as well just give them the Stanley Cup after that, because that would just be perfect for them.
Sure, now Bobby Ryan's good enough.
That's Nashville, not Philadelphia. Plus, it's in Lavi's system, too, by the way, a very highly offensive system. But anyway, to go along with that, this team of Nashville, man, they've just gone through so much adversity. They had to struggle at first. They got into the playoffs in the wild card spot. They faced off with the Chicago Blackhawks, and most people were pretty much considering them goners against the Blackhawks, including me. And that did not happen. The Nashville Predators managed to sweep the Chicago Blackhawks, who absolutely disappeared. And then they beat the St. Louis Blues. That was the first test they had, and they managed to pass it, albeit the St. Louis Blues did not have the greatest season in the whole world. They made the playoffs, but they had to do it at the very tail end of the year because they had struggled throughout the season. Now they're facing a team that didn't really struggle in the sense of really, really struggle. They were always in playoff contention. Now they're really facing a very, very tough, solid team. Do you think Nashville finally crumples under that pressure? Because this is the first time Nashville's facing a team that is pretty much got their shit together. I think that's the best way we can say it. They've got their shit together. The Ducks, albeit they've overcome some bad luck here and there, they've managed to turn that around and say that doesn't mean shit. And now they're facing off with Nashville, who, Nashville has kind of, not to say that they've been babied in this playoffs because they haven't. They've earned their wins. But the Blackhawks weren't really the Blackhawks. The Blues struggled this year, so they didn't have the best year going into the playoffs. Do you think maybe that might cause a bit of a problem for Nashville down the stretch here?
I think Anaheim's going to cause a problem. Absolutely. Good, solid defense, good goaltending from Gibson so far in the series. The offense is doing a good job of getting pressure on Pekka Rinne, and like I said, Kesler's been doing his job at getting under the skin of some of these forwards, and he's been matched up against Ryan Johansen. And what has Ryan Johansen done so far? Aside from maybe slash Kesler a couple times.
3 goals in the playoffs, including the first one in Game 2. Put them up 2-0 actually after James Neal followed up with that. And that's what's impressed me about you guys. Your resiliency has been second to none in these playoffs. And, getting down 2-0 to a tight defensive team with a good goaltender, you got Jakob Silfverberg. And I think that's who's been your guys' MVP. 9 goals on the playoffs and just absolute sniper shots. No gimmies, no garbage goals, just lighting the lamp.
And that's kind of where I think Pekka Rinne is starting to come back down to earth a little bit, because that's a save that he should have made.
Right. Yeah, true.
Opposite side of the circle, and then he goes far side.
Right.
Come on, that's the save that you need to make.
Yeah.
By the way, that Jake Voracek trade for Jakob Silfverberg still on the table
Nope.
if you want it.
Actually, from what I understand, I was talking to a buddy of mine while I was at work the other day, and he thinks he's going to Vegas.
Really? He's going to get picked in the expansion?
He thinks so. I don't think so. I hope not.
That would be bad for Anaheim to lose Jakob Silfverberg after having the year.
You don't think they'll protect him?
I mean, I got to see who's available.
Yeah, true.
So, then you got to pick from there.
Do you know what the crazy part is? Don't you?
Actually, I looked that up
I'm
now.
going to ask you this question, Brian. To keep a Jakob Silfverberg who's younger, would you not protect a guy like Corey Perry and have Corey possibly get picked by the Vegas Golden Knights and you keep Jakob Silfverberg just for youth reasons?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Corey Perry's kind of started his little decline here, and you saw that in his play, getting moved down to the third line for, I want to say 80% of the season. He hasn't really done much in these playoffs, so his value's kind of starting to dissipate a little bit, and you see the value of Jakob Silfverberg rising.
Sure.
So maybe you do take a chance on protecting Silverberg over Perry, but I believe Perry has a no movement clause, so I think he's protected
so
anyway.
he's protected automatically. Never mind then. Never mind.
Which makes sense. That's kind of why I was shaking my head. No, I would think that. And even if it weren't the case, yeah, his play is on the decline, but what are you not seeing? And that's him in the locker room. He's a leader of this club. I mean, you leave someone that unprotected. What are you saying to the other guys in your locker room? Anybody's replaceable, because that's not a good situation to work in. Or maybe it is for competitiveness.
I mean, there is that, but then also at the same time, you also got to look at it from, athletes are a depreciative product, that they have an expiration date. A lot of times they'll play past their expiration date.
True.
Some don't have one like Jágr, but, that's a rare breed. But, I mean, that's just – it's just a thought. It's just a thought out there, for Ducks fans in general. Like the expansion draft is looming. And, you got to start thinking about, okay, older players. Do we leave them out there unprotected? And do we keep the younger players who are proving to be valuable for the future? You got to think about that, because it's, and this ain't going to be the only expansion draft. I mean, the NHL just recently bought the rights to have a team in Seattle.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen somewhere down the line when that expansion draft's coming up soon.
It's tough decisions, man. I don't envy the tasks of GMs across the league with this upcoming expansion draft. But going to Facebook a little bit, got a couple people chiming in on the poll question, which we asked you, which Stanley Cup story would you like to see come true? Anaheim Ducks win second cup. I know that's Brian's favorite. Pittsburgh Penguins repeating. I know that's Mikey Kleingolf from FDN's favorite. Nashville Predators winning their first ever cup, or Ottawa Senators winning one for Anderson. Let's see here. We got Besby going Nashville Predators, go Preds go. We got Steve Moran saying Nashville if they control the third. And Ralph Delvecchio also saying Nashville all the way. It seems to be the pretty popular thought. Continue to comment. We'll read them live on air, or go over, if you're more of a Twitter guy, and go on to our poll and vote now, and we'll get to the results later on the show.
You guys are nuts. But I found the eligibility for some of these players. Guys who are protected with no movement clause: Kevin Bieksa, Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf, Ryan Kesler. Those guys aren't going anywhere. They all have no movement clauses. Guys who are exempt: Nick Ritchie, Shea Theodore, Brandon Montour, Jacob Larson, Max Jones, Andre Cachet, which is good because I'm starting to like him. Sam Steele, and I'm just rattling off the names that are have big potential in this lineup.
Right.
Other players who are unprotected: Andrew Cogliano, Antoine Vermette, Chris Wagner. I didn't even realize he was still in Anaheim. Emerson Needham, Jakob Silverberg, Logan Shaw, Patrick Eves, Ricard Raquel, Cam Fowler, Hampus Lindholm, Josh Manson, Sami Vatanen. These are guys that aren't protected yet, but they're eligible for the expansion draft.
Probably have maybe 6-7 of those eligible to be drafted, and there's a lot more than 6 or 7 names there that you would want to protect. Did you say Nick Ritchie was protected or not?
Nick Ritchie is protected. He's exempt from the draft.
Okay, well, that's good, because he's definitely, I was going to say, in terms of prognosticating this Game 3, that's what Anaheim's going to need to be successful in this Game 3 is, secondary players like Ritchie, like Andre Cachet? Kasha. Who contributed with his first goal of the playoffs. Antoine Vermette, who's a veteran in this league, chiming in. Guys like this are going to be essential in Game 3, and like I said, towards the future of the Anaheim Ducks in Ritchie's case. A big thing to look at in terms of looking at Game 3 is what each team's doing on the penalty kill, both home and on the road, this game being in Nashville. Nashville has a home penalty kill percentage of 77.8%, which isn't awesome, but pretty good when you're talking in the playoffs or whatnot. Opposed to Anaheim Ducks, their road penalty kill is at 66.7%. That's a really telling stat right here in terms of who's going to win the special teams battle. So to that, on paper, looking over at some of the other stats, points towards Nashville. You can never count out Anaheim, though. They're a resilient bunch, even if they get down. But sticking to my original point, going back and forth each game, I'll go Nashville in this one. But I fully expect Anaheim to be able to compete well and come back being down 2-1 and tie it up. And then I think Anaheim goes on a winning streak from that point forward.
I really, really think that after that win at home, after the last series, they're going to build off of this. And Anaheim's a good road team. Maybe not in the special teams, but they're going to go into quote-unquote Smashville. And they're
the Bridgestone Arena. Yeah. Frank on YouTube, makes a great point that it's an absolute madhouse to play in there. It's going to be a madhouse tonight. It's one of, if not the best crowds in the NHL. So that's tough playing on the road, but Anaheim has showed resiliency.
Well, I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to say Nashville actually wins this, and then Anaheim wins Game 4 and ties the series back up. I think we do the same thing we did in Anaheim, because I think Nashville is they're going to get that vibe off the crowd. They're going to come out fast. They're going to come out swinging. Don't get me wrong, Anaheim can handle things like that. That's not the big problem. I just think that puck luck is going to come back into play, and I think Nashville's probably going to get a couple of lucky bounces. Most likely that's going to happen because it just seems inevitable that some kind of bad luck hits at some point, somewhere, at some time in every series. I think that would be this game. I think Nashville will wind up getting a little bit of luck on their side, and they win a Game 3. And Anaheim does win Game 4 and ties it up, but I think that's where Nashville's little run comes to a close. I think Anaheim does manage to, like you were saying, going on a bit of a win streak.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're in accordance.
Yeah, it's just we're kind of in reverse, where you were saying Anaheim wins Game 3, and then, okay, never mind. Then we are, all right, then mirroring each other. Awesome.
Great minds think alike. We must have had the same premonition.
Premonition, yes. But we do have, I do think, though, Anaheim will be able to control it eventually. I just think Nashville will feed off that crowd here in Game 3, because that's going to be a tough place to play. I mean, don't get me wrong, Anaheim managed to take Rexall Place, which it's not even called that anymore, I forget what it's called now, and turn it on its head and managed to make it their home, away from home in an odd way.
Edmonton's arena?
Yeah.
I believe it's the Rogers Palace now.
Yeah, is it?
I think it is.
Okay, well, I forget the name of it. I remember it as Rexall Place, because that's what it was called almost 2 years ago. But anyway, Edmonton was irrelevant until this year. So
irrelevant. Erroneous in all counts.
But anyway, so that's the Game 3 Western Conference Finals matchup. That'll be tonight, Game 3. And Ottawa is tomorrow, between Pittsburgh and Ottawa. That's going to be a nasty fight between those two teams, as well as there'll be a nasty one here tonight. The Final Four matchup, the matchup for who will own the West and who will own the East and meet in the Stanley Cup Finals. That battle continues tonight and tomorrow as we get into our Game 3s.
I was close. It's very close.
What is it?
Rogers Place.
Rogers Place.
I added an extra A in there.
Well, let's see.
It is a palace. That thing is huge.
I've never seen it. Never been there. So
I've never been there, but I've only seen pictures and obviously live game feed. But that place is amazing.
That'd probably be a cool place to go see a game anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to go see the Flyers play the Oilers though right now. I'll wait until our team is better, and then I'd go make the trip.
Nah, Flyers always play. They even this year played Oilers really tough. I think we got into their heads with the whole Brandon Manning almost killing McDavid.
You mean Collar McBroken?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Well, he's broken now because he's no longer in the playoffs. But anyway, all right. So that's our preview and our predictions of the Western Eastern Conference Finals matchups. And we got a big, big, big game tonight and another big one tomorrow. So don't go anywhere, folks, on those. Do not sleep on these series. It's just getting excited, folks. It's just getting exciting.
It's hard to keep up, man. It's a great time in sports. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, baseball season. It's almost like I got to play video DJ on my TV.
Hey, listen, I'm good with 2 out of 3. Take the NBA playoffs out of there. I'm happy.
Yeah, you could skip the NBA. I don't think you're really missing much.
Yeah,
it's going to be Golden State and Cleveland anyway, just like it was last year and the year before that and the year before that.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, let's be honest. But still.
Of course, I'm exaggerating.
Well, I mean, oh well. It's the NBA. Like, no one, even NBA fans don't even like the playoffs. Like, seriously. Even NBA fans can't stand the NBA playoffs.
I mean, Mike Klinkoff of FDN today was saying that the playoffs have been boring so far.
Well,
And he's an NBA fan.
he's not wrong. I mean, he's not wrong. I think I saw one game between Cleveland and I think their first round opponent. I forget who it was. Quite frankly, it didn't matter. They just shat all over them, so like it mattered.
The NBA
But
Finals
anyway.
is always LeBron James versus some other team.
Well, that's what the NBA has become. It's become LeBron James versus the world.
Yep.
That's pretty much all it is. Like, seriously. I mean, don't get me wrong. The greatest player is always going to be against everybody. It's always going to be that player versus the world. But at least have other teams with some talent on it. Like, there's nobody else there. Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
all the talent
It's-
goes to one team.
It's just ridiculous. But anyway, enough about the NBA. It makes me sick. Anyway, moving on. Now it's time to go around the league. Rob, this is your time to shine. Broken Povia. Lead the way, Brother Pove.
Yes. Since we've been gone, I think that's a song. The Kings traded goalie Ben Bishop to the Stars for a 4th-round pick in the 2017 NHL draft, and then the Stars went on to sign the free agent goaltender to a 6-year, $29.5 million contract.
Well, this is actually good for the Stars because the Stars had they had a bad goaltending situation, just a terrible goaltending situation. Cost them their playoff run last year. This is going to be good for them. It will solve their goaltending problems. The other issues they need to address, though, need to be taken care of, like obviously defensive problems that have been hampering them. They really need to get that focused on and find a way to keep their offense going because their offense, if it gets going, it's good. But if it doesn't get going, the Stars suck pretty much for the most part.
Yes, definitely. I think it's a need they needed to address. There's a lot of good proven goal scorers on this team. Their defense is improved. They just need somebody that's going to play a little bit more consistently than Kari Lehtinen.
Yeah.
And Ben Bishop is that. I mean, he's older. You're certainly not, I mean, they gave him 6 years to an old, so I think that was a little bit too long. But if that's what it needed to get done, you trade for him and you give up a 4th-round pick. If you don't sign him, you kind of look, you have mud in your face.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, I guess Dallas must not have had any goaltending prospects. I mean, all honesty, I think that'd be the only reason why you signed Ben Bishop to this long-term deal.
Right.
So real quick, Ryan Bretto comments in on the Facebook saying anything but the Penguins repeating.
I agree wholeheartedly there, Ryan. I like it. Do not pick the Penguins. You've committed a sin against God if you pick the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I'm surprised Klinkoff even talks to you, man.
I don't really think he has any real reason not to. I mean, unfortunately, he's got a Stanley Cup in his generation to keep him warm at night. He's got 2, for God's sakes. I don't think he really needs to worry about that.
Yes.
Seriously. He can
Anyway.
talk. He'll talk to me all day as long as he's got 2 Stanley Cups, and the Flyers unfortunately have none since '75.
Just wanted to put that comment out there, Rob.
Well done.
Continue on, my friend.
Well done. Next topic. This was announced, and I'm a little excited about this as being a Met fan. I know I'm weird, people. I'm half Philadelphia. I like the Flyers and Sixers, and then I like other teams. 2018 Bridgestone NHL Winter Classic will feature the Rangers versus Sabres at Citi Field in New York on January 1st.
I like it.
I thought it was an odd location though. Just in my personal opinion, I have nothing against Citi Field. Never been there, but I just thought it was an odd choice.
It's great. I mean, it's a great ballpark. It's a great setting. Lots of good amenities. So, it's good to, kind of see my 2 loves being merged into one, hockey and baseball. But, where would you have it? Would you have it more in upstate New York, or where would not be odd?
Well, let's see. I would put it more in upstate New York.
Well, they already did one up in Buffalo already. They did one, I believe, in Ralph Wilson Stadium. I think that was where the first one was, right?
Well, yeah, but they've done one in New York too. They did it in Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
They did.
Well,
They did. Well, not the Winter Classic.
Larger market.
That's the Bronx. This is the Queens, baby.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
that's
I
the
know.
thing.
It's the difference.
Larger market in Citi Field versus taking it back to Buffalo.
That's a good point. You are right on that one.
But, to Matt's point, too, you have it in like a collegiate or football stadium, more seats. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, where would you put it? Syracuse, maybe?
That could work.
How big is their football field?
I mean, We'd have to look that up, but I mean, like, maybe we're gonna ask Donovan McNabb. He went there, so I mean, either way.
But I mean, like, I believe Yankee Stadium, the Rangers weren't home, so and it was a Stadium Series game.
Well, that was the Rangers and the Islanders and the Devils and the Rangers, which obviously out of the two, the one that's going to be the most fierce you would think would be the Devils and the Rangers.
You were saying something too yesterday. You were thinking, what about MetLife?
You could do MetLife. I mean, that's more of a neutral location because it's in Jersey, so neither team really has the advantage there.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, more Rangers fans
Max
are closer.
seating, too.
Yeah, but the problem is you want to try and find a location where you can get both teams' fans in.
Well, yeah, but I think,
I don't know if they'll drive all the way down to North Jersey.
Well, wouldn't that'd be closer than Queens, wouldn't it? Because
From Buffalo? No.
Really?
Not from Buffalo. I mean, depending on, it's not like too far from the city. Take the Hudson, jump on the turnpike. You're there. You're at MetLife. So it's not like astronomically far away. But
no, it makes
Queens
sense
a
for
little
Rangers
further.
fans. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Either way, I just thought it was an odd choice of location. But other than that, though, I mean, it's an interesting Winter Classic choice. Two rivals that I don't like. I hate both teams. So I could care less who wins that series.
You just hate Citi Field.
I have said this
Well, let me
before.
ask you
Good
this.
reason, I guess.
I've never been there. I don't know the stadium. I'm not knocking the stadium. I'm just saying it's an odd location. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
fantabulous. Best concession.
Let me ask you this: as far as viewpoints go, how's the viewpoints from Citi Field?
Love it, man. I mean, I think for like the hockey game, it'll be exquisite. For a baseball game, sometimes you get the corners cut off a little bit, depending
I
on
feel
where
like
you're
that's
sitting.
any baseball field, though.
Yeah, it's a little more pronounced. Like there's actually like plays that aren't really too far in the corner that you miss out, and a lot of the seats. Plus, originally when they built the stadium, that they had the seats all angled towards home plate, which was a great idea, never really been done before, but it caused a lot of blind spots too or whatnot. They've since have made some adjustments with some of the seats. I think it'll be a great vantage point for the fans.
I think it could be really good.
Well, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Like I said, I could care less who wins that game because I hate both teams, and they can both go rotten hell.
Well, in lieu of that, we'll stick with the Sabres here.
How fitting.
The Sabres named Jason Botterill, general manager. He's a former NHL forward and was the Penguins' associate GM. Not really familiar with the name or whatnot, but the Sabres now have a new general manager.
Well,
Now they just got to work on that head coach.
yeah, as Dan Balisman is no longer around again.
Right. My last point, this might be a good talking topic. It's around the league, and we throw Flyers in around the league because, obviously not in the playoffs, newsflash. Little quote from the Halifax GM on possible number 2 pick, Nico Hischier.
I believe that's it, actually. Hischier.
You're getting a star for a long time. In lieu of this comment, do the Flyers indeed keep their second-round pick and go for a player of this caliber if the Devils do wind up picking Nolan Patrick? Of course, if they don't and they go for the Talibanian, he's been a big draft riser, right? We were talking about him on Sunday. I'll have to look up his name in a second, but in lieu of this, is this the guy the Flyers should draft at number 2 and keep the pick?
I mean, if he's there, if the Devils go Nolan Patrick, which honestly I don't see that happening from everything that I've been reading so far and seeing, Nico is the projected number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why is because, and I heard about this, Nolan has injury proneness. So that is an immediate red flag. When you talk about a young player who gets hurt a lot, I don't like that. I don't like taking a gamble like that when you take a player who gets hurt way too much. Was he going to play maybe 40 games tops a season? You can't do that. You can't take risks like that and have somebody that you invested in can't play a full 82-game season, especially at that high a draft pick.
Tolvanen, that's it. Eli Tolvanen. He's a 5'10" right winger out of Sioux City in the USHL. Right now they have him ranked at number 8, but he's been skyrocketing up draft boards. So that's what they were talking about, that he might be a possibility to rise up to the top 3. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's tough because the problem is a lot of the top 5 prospects, they're all centers.
Right.
That's the tough part, and the one thing we have an abundance of is centers. That's the tough part. It's like if we had gotten this pick last year, this would be so much easier because there were right wingers and left wingers available.
As of the moment, a lot can change from now
Yeah,
till
true.
the expansion draft, let alone beyond. Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah,
it just man, it's tough getting a pick this year and having all centermen. That's what upsets me about this.
Well, let's say Tolvanen, last point I have, stays at 8, right? Do you trade down and grab him as being, like one of the top right wingers in this draft? Maybe argument's sake, Owen Tippett could be the OHL.
Possibly. I mean, if you could do that, maybe then you could possibly even package off one of these bad contracts.
Yep.
I mean, you might be able to do something like that. I mean, hell, if it came down to it, I'd call up any organization that would be wanting that number 2 pick, and I'd say, hey, listen, if you want the number 2 pick, we're willing to talk. I will give you that pick. You could take Andrew McDonald with my blessing, and I will
You'd have everybody's blessing.
Yeah, and I will give you Braden Shen, straight up right now.
You have the blessing of an atheist.
Yeah. And I'm serious though. I would give you Andrew McDonald's contract, and I give you Braden Shen. You take him right now. There's no problems here, flat out.
No worries.
No offense to Braden Shen. You could take him though.
Well,
You gotta spend a little money to make a little money, right?
That's right.
Fortunately, Braden is the type of player that he's more of a play or power play specialist, and he is a 5-on-5, and I think that's going to hurt trade value for him.
Okay, well that's a possibility. All right then. What if you try and package? This is a gamble because he hasn't really played all that well. Sean Couturier.
He's another one that's more of a special team specialist, and he's a really good shutdown centerman. He's just not a goal scorer like they thought he was going to be.
That is true.
You package him to a team that's really looking for a third-line center, in that equation. Like, they're pretty set 1-2. I mean, Sean Couturier in that matchup against other teams, third-line center, third line in general, really you see his stats raise.
Yeah, because the problem is you can only move one long-term deal. No one's going to take 2. And then the other issue that you run into is, well, the draft pick's going to have to be the selling point of the trade. It can't be a player because you can't trade Jake Voracek away, and you can't trade Claude Giroux. You could trade Jake Voracek away. I'm not against that. But the thing is also then you're trading away a winger.
Right.
Which you don't want to do.
Right.
Because you already have a lot of centers. So that's what my main goal is to offload a center along with that god-awful contract that we have for Andrew McDonald. Right. That's my main goal if you're looking towards that trade. Just that's my way of looking at it on that side of it. But anyway, we will go to break. When we come back, we will finish up around the league.
No, I'm done.
Oh, you're done? All right. So now that that's all settled and taken care of and it has officially been considered obsolete.
Rest in peace.
We will return with This Day in Hockey History. It'll be the Dark Wings' time to shine. And then after we're done with that, we will jump back into more playoff talk and what's coming up for the rest of the playoffs, and also talk about whatever else is on our minds, because strangely enough, when there's only 2 series to talk about, you don't have that much to talk about, strangely enough. All right. But anyway.
It's not like last week when we had 2 other games to talk about.
Yep. Couldn't filibuster with that. But all right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Plenty to stick around, folks. Yeah. We're entertaining people.
We think so, at least.
Yeah. So I tell myself.
But you know what would be helpful though? To see more entertaining people, you're going to need money. And in order for you to have money, you better pay your taxes, so that way you don't have to keep shelling all of it out to the government or get audited, God forbid. So with that being said, you might want to go to Gibson Mayer LLC. They are your certified public accountants, and they're located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. You can give them a call, 215-369-3300. Tax season was here, but be ready for next year. Be ready, be prepared, get Gibson Mayer. This is the Hockey Happy Hour on HUDRadio.com. We will be right back after this. A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Fellas, you ever come in from that baseball or football game and your woman won't come near you because you stink beyond belief? Then you need Soap Stash. You should never settle for a generic hygiene product that only covers up the stench. Treat your skin with the best nutrients. Feel clean with the only soap you'll need. The highest grade carrier oils are ingrained in all of their products, which are 100% natural and terrific for your skin. No sulfates, parabens, or phthalates, and synthetic fragrance free. Contact Soap Stash for your sample package and give your woman what she deserves. You can contact Soap Stash at 844-890-3197 or visit them on the web at soapstash.com or Facebook at Soapstash LLC. Once again, their number is 844-890-3197. Soap Stash, the new soap standard.
You're listening to the Hockey Happy Hour, only on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live from the Bmw of Atlantic City studios here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. Brought to you by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. They are located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030. Email us sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com. Rob over here trying to crack me up by showing me a picture of what's-her-face's ass.
Michaela Maroney.
I mean, she does have a nice one, but I'll be honest with you, I don't like her face, so it kind of kills it for me. Just saying.
It's a nice ass, but it's no Sasha Banks
why
ass,
you,
right?
Yes.
That's why they invented paper bags. Just took a paper bag over it, and that's fine. It's over. You don't got to worry about looking at it again.
I'm proud of you.
They grow up so fast, right, Rob?
You're all crumbed up.
I have little tricks up my sleeve once in a while. Don't you worry about that.
No, I know you're a lady killer, man. You don't have to tell me that.
All right. Speaking of Brian, on to his This Day in Hockey History segment. So you were talking about Alicia Silverstone a little bit after off mic, so now we get to go back in history. You get to kill some ladies from back in the past, man.
Oh, it's like that? I thought we were doing hockey history.
No. I scrapped that off mic. I just didn't tell you.
Oh, okay. So we're going to go back? Okay, so Alicia's... No. All right, so May 16th in 1927, the famous Jack Adams officially began his career as a general manager / coach for the Detroit Red Wings, who were actually called the Cougars at the time.
Yes, they were.
But changed their name to the Falcons in 1930.
That they did.
And then in 32, they became the Detroit Red Wings.
Yep, haven't looked back since.
He combined both topics there, the Cougars. Sorry.
Nice. Well played. Jack Adams now has a trophy named after him, and it's awarded to the best coach of the year. Controlled that Detroit team for a whopping 35 years.
Yeah.
Plenty of cups to speak of, too, during that time period.
Obviously, a fantastic coach if you have the award named after you.
Yeah. And to have a job for 35 years? Yeah, I think he did a pretty damn good job.
Yeah.
Yep, to say the least. Try beating that one, Lindy.
So, in 1976, the Canadiens beat the Philadelphia Flyers in a 5-3 by a final score of 5-3 to sweep the finals and win their 19th championship.
In 1976.
But
yes.
Surprisingly enough, after being swept and not winning a single finals game, Philadelphia's Flyers' Reggie Leach was awarded the Conn Smythe Trophy and scored in the game and had 19 goals, 5 assists in 16 games. And 19 goals being an NFL. I had whatever you have is contagious, bro.
I'm like a virus.
The 19 goals being an NHL record at the time, later being tied by the great Yari Curry.
Right on. I used to like you before you brought up that Flyers getting swept thing, but you bring up you bring up a good point though that I was not aware of. You know, it's very rare to win a Conn Smythe in a losing effort, and the Flyers have 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was the first non-goaltender on the losing team to do it, too.
Anaheim has one.
Yeah.
J.S. Jaguar in 2003.
Yes,
but
sir.
he was a goaltender. So Leach made history. He was the first non-goaltender on the losing team to win the Conn Smythe.
Yeah. Well, he won it before the other one I had in mind, Ron Hextall, in the 80s.
Well, yeah.
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 So, the first of many things.
I never said that they were the first. I just said Anaheim had one.
Yes,
Right.
They do. They got the Conn Smythe, beating Marty Brodeur out of that running. So that was actually a pretty darn good achievement on Jaguar's part. Of course,
G was a good goalie for a long time.
he was. Eventually, he did win the Stanley Cup. Just took him another try at
4
it.
years later.
Yeah, and a very depleted Ottawa team to do it.
Yep. Moving on to 1982, the New York Islanders beat the Canucks 3-1 to sweep the final series and win a third straight Stanley Cup. The first U.S.-based team to win 3 in a row and would become the first to win 4 in a row the following season.
Well, no U.S.-based team has broken that. Not one. So good luck trying to break that one. Chicago gave it as best of a shot as they could, and so did L.A., but they could not do it in a row. So
No, I mean, Chicago could have had 4, but it would have been every other year. L.A. could have had 3 or 4, but they could have gone every other year and then have 2 back-to-back. But teams nowadays, you're not even going to – it's hard to win a back-to-back Stanley Cup, let alone 3 or 4 in a row.
yeah, I mean, teams have not done it since 1998. The Detroit Red Wings are the last ones to do it. Penguins could break that if they manage to beat Ottawa in this Eastern Conference Finals and face the right team in the Stanley Cup Finals, but we'll see.
And finally, May 16th, 1996, Steve Yzerman scored one of the most memorable and most well-known goals in playoff history, capitalizing off a Wayne Gretzky turnover to win the game in double overtime with only a minute and 15 seconds off the clock.
I still say the most recognizable part of that is not the goal itself. It's the fact that Wayne Gretzky turned the puck over to Stevie Y. To me, that's the most symbolic part of that entire goal, is the fact that it was Gretzky who made them who blooped and allowed that to happen.
You know who Stevie Y is?
Who's Stevie Y?
He's an obsolete mule.
That is right, actually, because Rob does have room to hate him from 97. But
Correct.
that's a different story.
So a minute 15 into double overtime, scored the only goal in a Red Wings 1-0 victory over the St. Louis Blues. Yes, Wayne Gretzky was a St. Louis Blue for a little bit.
Yeah.
If you did not know that.
He got traded mid-season to the St. Louis Blues, and he did not resign. He wound up going to the New York Rangers because, Mark Messier was over there. So, they were butt buddies. So, you can't separate them.
Reunited,
Yep,
and
that's all I got.
feels so good.
I mean, it was an interesting couple of months watching Gretzky play in a Blues uniform.
I just got to remember, though, was it Darryl Pang he scored on? I think it was.
The Panger.
It might have been Panger. I think he scored on Panger. I'm just trying to remember who he scored on.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, look that up because I know that it might have been Curtis Joseph. I'm not sure which one it was. It was one of the two.
Cujo?
Yeah, it might have
Like
been.
Cujo.
It might have been him. I'm trying to remember who he scored on because I know it was a prolific St. Louis Blues goalie. I was just trying to remember which one he scored on.
Right.
Maybe Grant Fuhr?
I don't
Was
know.
Grant Fuhr's?
I don't know. Hard to say. Grant Fuhr played on a lot of teams in that latter portion of his career. He wound up playing on the Flames too. But anyway, that's a different story for a different time. But yeah. Either way, while he looks that up, that was this day in hockey history.
Hooray!
Yes. And now I actually
I love
want
it. I love history, man.
Yeah, no. And speaking of which, getting back to a bit of around the league, a couple of things we want to bring up. Obviously, congratulations to the late, great Ed Snyder, who is going to have part of 11th Street in Philadelphia named in his honor. Be called Ed Snyder Way.
Wait. Curious.
Yes.
It says that Stevie Y scored a goal from Vladimir Konstantinov, but Yzerman was the one who caused the turnover. Interesting.
Should have been unassisted.
You would think, right?
Right.
Yeah, off of a turnover because that doesn't count because the other player touched the puck.
Konstantinov was the Red Wings player that wound up in the wheelchair, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
They threw him an assist. Felt bad for him.
So,
I'm going to hell.
By the way, that was the driving force for the Red Wings to repeat, by the way.
Any fans out there, you can send your hate mail to Rob Povia, care2radio.com. I'll read them all.
So before
Cry.
I tell you who the goalie was for the St. Louis Blues, just listen to this roster. Glenn Anderson, Murray Barron, Shane Corson, Jeff Courtnall, Wayne Gretzky, Adam Creighton, Charlie Huddy, Brett Hull. I'm not even going to attempt his name.
Must be a Polish name.
No, Russian.
Oh,
Igor Kravchuk.
Kravchuk.
I forgot about him. Stephen Leach, Al McInnes, Greg McTavish, Stefan Matteau,
Matto.
Brian Noonan, Chris Pronger, Jay Wells, and Peter Zezel. As for the goalie,
Peter Zezel was still playing. My God, Peter Zezel was still playing.
2 shots on goal that night. As for the goalie, we were all way wrong.
Who was it?
John Casey.
Oh, John Casey. Damn it. I knew it was somebody. Damn, it was John Casey.
I don't know who he is.
No, he actually was a pretty good goalie for St. Louis Blues back in the day.
425 games played, 170 wins, 157 losses. Not a bad goals against average, 3.21, especially for that time.
No, for that time,
And
with
an
that kind of goal
888
scoring,
save percentage in his career.
That's not bad for the goal scoring that was going on at that time. That's still really good goaltending.
Played for the Blues, the Bruins, the North Stars. Looks like he spent most of his career with the North Stars.
That is true. He was in the Stanley Cup Finals with the Minnesota North Stars that got absolutely shelled by the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Looks like he spent most of his career as a starter, especially between 1988 and 1994, playing 50-plus games.
Okay.
Vezina Trophy. He won the Vezina Trophy twice, and he was a 3-time All-Star. So, yeah, he was a pretty good goalie, was he?
Yeah. So, still, good goal from Stevie Weil to, of all people, John Casey. Wouldn't think John Casey would give up that goal, but you know what? That was back in the day when goals used to just fall into your freaking lap back then.
Played until he was 34.
Played until he was 34.
So he retired young.
He did retire young. Usually goalies play a little longer. Yeah, oh well.
Steady goalie, too. I mean, his numbers were pretty much the same. He was a very consistent goalie. So I'll give him that.
He was the Jake Allen of his day.
I could see that.
I would say Brian Elliott, but he absolutely shat the bed in the playoffs. But anyway,
It's because his soul came from a spot monkey.
Ooh, so here's the fun little game.
Sorry.
If we don't have anything else to talk about,
well, I'm just thinking of something. Well, let's go ahead.
I got something.
What?
Yeah, I didn't want to breeze upon past the Ed Snyder of the street being named after him, portion of 11th Ave, like you were starting to say. I was just,
Go for it.
I was just gonna quickly comment that this is a long time coming. I mean, I understand why you didn't. Shit, I'd fucking rename Broad Street after him, man, because he built that area. He's been, he was quintessential to the Philadelphia sports market. I mean, people may forget that he also owned a part of the Philadelphia Eagles too before taking on the Flyers. So, yeah, knocking good kudos. I'll be sure to stop by that site and take a little selfie.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's
Right
so
at the
cool.
street sign, just, a little Snapchat, little selfie.
The whole hockey happy hour crew has to do this.
Let's do it. We'll go
Yeah.
to the christening, the dedication, whatever you call it.
Yes.
I'm down.
I'm not a street guy.
All right. So, but one other thing I want to talk about was this. The Washington Capitals general manager is still not come out and spoken to the media yet about the absolute collapse of the Washington Capitals once again in a Game 7. I think where one Game 7 curse ends, I think another one is about to begin. And as of this moment, gentlemen, do you think that this fire sale is still on? Do you think that not only is Oshie leaving, but do you think that everybody's leaving at this point? Because Brian McClellan, not related to Todd McClellan, in case anybody was wondering.
McClellan.
McLeod? There can only be one. But anyway, that being said, I think
You know why he didn't come out to the news?
why?
Because he's an asinine jackass.
And I think he's also completely embarrassed. I think that was part of his tears that were flying all over New Jersey this past week.
I think that was mostly his.
I mean, seriously, I'm surprised he'll keep his job after all the bullshit that's been happening. Like, seriously, the Washington Capitals, I'm going to call them the Washington Doormats from now on. Like, seriously, these guys, every single year, they are the team that is good, but you beat to become the great team. Like, I'm sorry, that's what the Capitals have become. They have become the mule, if you will, of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like, seriously, every single time.
Stop.
Seriously, every single time. At some point, when does the buck stop? I have to know. When does it stop? And when do you finally beat the Pittsburgh Penguins? Like, seriously, the Flyers did eventually beat the New Jersey Devils. Like, we eventually did beat them in the playoffs. At what point do the Capitals finally beat the Pittsburgh Penguins? Like, seriously. Somebody please tell me, is that even remotely going to happen anytime soon? Do you think that this is just, it's time to blow this all up?
Yes.
You will. And I think they will, too. A lot of big names not coming back this year. I think looking at the contracts here, Evgeny Kuznetsov is obviously going to get re-signed. He's a restricted free agent. Andrei Burakovsky, again, restricted free agent. He's probably going to get re-signed. They're going to play two huge parts in this roster. And then you have Daniel Winnick, probably he'll walk. TJ Yoshi's probably going to walk. Justin Williams is probably going to walk. Kevin Shattenkirk is probably going to walk.
Definitely.
Carl Alsner is probably going to walk. So you're going to see a whole new Washington roster.
Yeah, I really agree. And you know what? No one's safe from this, too. I mean, Am I going to predict that the Capitals make a blockbuster move and trade Alex Ovechkin in this offseason? No, I'm not going to predict that, but it has been done in the past, and they were not happy with Ovechkin, nor were the fans of Ovechkin's performance in this year's playoffs, where he disappeared again. Maybe you do. Maybe you do try to dish him off and get a lot of pieces in return.
Do you think, and I have just the place they could go to.
Philadelphia?
Well, that would be interesting.
I will take my bandwagon name off my Flyers fandom if they get Alex Ovechkin.
Would you keep it on if they got Sidney Crosby?
Yeah, I mean, I like Sidney Crosby as a better all-around player.
As a person, he's a piece of shit. But that's a different story.
Right. And Ovechkin does get, very fiery, especially during the playoffs. A lot of cheap shots, a lot of dirty hits, too.
And you saw that in this series. You saw a lot of cheap shots, a lot of whacks, a lot of slashing.
Yep.
I mean, if you're going to do that, at least win the series. So at least it makes it seem like it was worth it.
True.
But good luck having somebody take on his $9.5 million cap hit.
That's not happening. But if you were to try something like that, Colorado, who are completely rebuilding, you could rebuild around an Alexander Ovechkin. And you could go get Landeskog and Duchesne for him. Seriously, you could go get both for Alexander Ovechkin. I'm not joking about that. And you would have the space, because if you let Oshie walk, Shattenkirk walk, and all the other ones walk, you got the space. That's not going to be the problem, especially if you're getting rid of Ovechkin's contract.
See, if the Avs were smart, and let's say we're talking a hypothetical here, I would want to keep Duchesne and potentially pair him up. I mean, I know you're talking similar positions, but you could still make it work even if they're on opposite lines. But have those be your two big stars, Ovechkin and Duchesne. I'd be more apt to trade a Nate McKinnon.
Yeah, and you could do just the same. You can get both Nate McKinnon and Landeskog for Alexander Ovechkin. I don't really think you need to package anybody else. You just send Ovechkin there, and they send you those two straight up. And that's a whole new team in Washington right there. The Alexander Ovechkin era in Washington officially comes to a close. Who knows? Maybe Ovechkin might actually win a Stanley Cup.
It'd be a better fresh start for him. Get out of the Eastern Conference, go play out in Colorado, closer to the West Coast.
And no Crosby.
And no Crosby. And, usually, big stars going to Colorado equals good things.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Patrick Waugh, for one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Ovechkin going anywhere. I think they're going to send a message a different way.
Yeah.
I don't think they're trading. Well, I mean, obviously, it's a huge cap hit that you're taking when you bring on an Alex Ovechkin. But I think they're going to send a message in-house. And I think he's going to get stripped of that captaincy that he has.
Good call, man.
Do you think they put it on Backstrom?
They should.
I don't know who they put it on yet. But maybe they do what they did in San Jose and they hold off until they find somebody worthy.
Maybe, but maybe they also try this. Maybe they tempt...
We're not worthy.
Maybe they tempt TJ Oshie and Kevin Shattenkirk by saying, we'll make you captain.
No, because here's the problem with that. What if you don't deliver?
That's true.
Then they're going to say, then they're going to call out another problem, and they're going to want to trade out of the town.
I think Shattenkirk's definitely gone. My prediction, he goes back to the Blues.
I got a lot of people thinking, well, I shouldn't say I hear a lot of people thinking maybe Boston.
Yeah, that could be a landing spot, too.
Boston's definitely in the market for some solid defensive play.
Especially since Chara, every year you got to worry about if Chara is going to retire or not.
Yeah, that's true. Chara's not a young buck. That's for sure. I mean, Shattenkirk's not either, but Shattenkirk's much younger than Chara. So you would definitely be much safer going that route.
Actually, chiming in on YouTube, David Raska commenting, Ovechkin will be traded.
Interesting. If he can respond, to whom do you think he would be traded? If you wish to respond, feel free on YouTube. And I personally, that would be my deal. If I was Washington and I was sitting there on an Alexander Ovechkin and everybody's just saying, yep, trade him, and I got the go-ahead to do it, I'd say, okay. I'd call up Colorado. They're like, hey, we want McKinnon. We want Landeskog. We will give you Ovechkin straight up. Just to let us know who's off limits and who's not off limits. Because if Duchesne's off limits, fine. But if he's not, I'll take him too. Whomever whomever you're willing to part ways with, because I know you're doing a fire sale, we'll give you Ovechkin straight up.
Yeah, Shattenkirk is only 28.
Yeah,
too.
so
I didn't realize
younger.
that.
Yeah, much younger than Chara. You'd be safe to go that route. I mean, that's a great idea for Boston because they do need defensive help. It clearly showed in their struggles down the stretch and clearly showed in their struggle against the Ottawa Senators in this playoff series. You go get a Kevin Shattenkirk, that really helps your defense in a big way. And you get another big locker room player to go along with that. I think that's a great deal for Boston for them to go after a Shattenkirk. In all retrospect, that's a smart move.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but I don't know where I'm gonna go with this, but maybe you let them both walk and you just start fresh, start over.
what, you let who walk?
Shattenkirk and Oshie, just let them both walk, start over.
Well, okay, that's fine because that's basically what they're planning on doing. At least that's what you were saying earlier about walking. Whether you hand them their walking papers or not. My opinion, when you look at this Washington team, maybe Washington is thinking a little differently than just saying, okay, let's just blow this all up because clearly this isn't going to work. I mean, you can't leave any stone unturned when you're the GM. They got to be thinking of every possibility besides just letting them walk because that's a lot of talent you're just letting walk out the door.
A couple.
Go ahead, Rob.
A couple landing spots for Shattenkirk. Since he's a New York native, potentially the Rangers, Devils have been two teams that have been discussions there. And you know what? Rangers makes a lot of sense because they got to change up something on that blue line because it did not get the job done in this year's playoffs. Also, let's not forget that the Blues were initially trying to trade Shattenkirk to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it was a pretty much done deal, except it was contingent upon him signing a deal right then and there with the Lightning, which Shattenkirk either didn't want to sign a contract or he didn't want to sign the contract they were offering. So maybe if they come back with a contract more to his liking, that could be a landing spot too.
It's possible. So, I mean, you could really say that right now anywhere is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of areas that are open for that. Watch him land in, like, the oddest of places. Watch him, like, land in, like, Edmonton or someplace like that. That would be interesting. Kevin Shattenkirk on a young Edmonton Oilers team.
It's possible.
But basically, that we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens there.
So I'm just laughing at our new cover page, which is for the draft lottery tonight. Mike Kelly chimed in, is that Rob Pobia sitting in for the Cavs? You guys got to take a look at that. It's on our Facebook page, anybody out there or whatnot. I don't know if I like that comparison or not, but that was a funny comment.
Well, that will do it for this part of the Hockey Happy Hour. And when we come back, be talking some more about what's going on around the hockey world and see if there's any more playoff loose ends we need to tie up. But first, let's talk to you guys about the Bmw of Atlantic City. They're easy to get to. Minutes off of exit 37 of the Parkway. Have you ever wanted the ultimate driving experience? Well, then go to Bmw of Atlantic City. Like we said, they're located at 6037 Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 609-568-9200, and they are online at www.bmwofatlanticcity.com. This is the Hockey Happy Hour on A2DRadio.com. We will be right back after this. A2DRadio.com is sponsored by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or email them at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all your sporting needs. The Sports Outlet.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer, LLC, Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Fellas, you ever come in from that baseball or football game and your woman won't come near you because you stink beyond belief? Then you need Soap Stash. You should never settle for a generic hygiene product that only covers up the stench. Treat your skin with the best nutrients. Feel clean with the only soap you'll need. The highest grade carrier oils are ingrained in all of their products, which are 100% natural and terrific for your skin. No sulfates, parabens, or phthalates, and synthetic fragrance free. Contact Soap Stash for your sample package and give your woman what she deserves. You can contact Soap Stash at 844-890-3197 or visit them on the web at soapstash.com or Facebook at Soapstash LLC. Once again, their number is 844-890-3197. Soap Stash, the new soap standard.
You're listening to the Hockey Happy Hour, only on A2DRadio.com.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live from the Bmw of Atlantic City studios here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. I am the villain, Matt Sensudi, along with Broken Rob Povia and the Darkwing Brian Daly.
Can't see me, but I'm waving.
And that has been the Hockey Happy Hour so far. We've been going over the playoffs. We've been going over everything. And now we're kind of just picking up any loose ends we could find at this point in time. But all this is brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accounts located at 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. Give them a call, 215-369-3300. Tax season was here, but for next year, be ready, be prepared. Get Gibson Mayer.
Get him.
And now that we have pretty much taken care of the playoff talk, Brian, you were talking about a topic we could talk about for this last 15 minutes. But before we do that, we have the Twitter poll that we are wanting to get to. And what are the results of said Twitter poll?
We asked you on Twitter, what Stanley Cup story would you like to come true? Anaheim wins second cup, Penguins repeat, Nashville wins first, Ottawa wins for Anderson. With 60% of the vote, Nashville wins first is taking it. 20% for Anaheim winning second cup, 10% for Penguins repeat, and Ottawa wins for Anderson. No love for his cancer-ridden wife. On Facebook, Mike Mataraki saying he's rooting for Nashville. We got Vinny Massington chiming in again saying, Preds, screw the Pens, Ducks, and Sens. So he's pretty adamant for – I think you're getting a lot of this love because of Peter Laviolette. Let's face facts. We are in a Philadelphia market, so that's probably responsible for that. But still time to vote in our Twitter poll for anybody around the country, 22 hours, and I'll be interested to see these final results.
Especially for all you people that, can come to your senses and stop being Never mind.
You're just upset because they're not voting for the Ducks.
No, I mean, think about it. The Ducks are the best team left in this playoff.
Okay, well, hold on. It's a tie. It's between Pittsburgh and Anaheim.
Anaheim could take Pittsburgh right now.
You even said it yourself. They don't play well against Pittsburgh.
They don't. But I think they
now.
could take them right now. Right now? Yeah, I think they could take them.
Okay.
You're coming off a huge Game 7 win that you probably had little faith in winning. And the way that they did it, now you took 1 out of 2 at home against Nashville. You're probably going to win Game 3.
And they call Flyers fans homers. But anyway.
I do agree with Brian just because of Pittsburgh, being,
banged up.
Yeah. Simple way to say it.
And they still have to get through Ottawa. Ottawa's not exactly a tough team.
Yeah.
An easy team to get by.
Sorry.
I knew what you meant, though, because, there's always that Cinderella, that really unlikely hero, unlikely team making noise on that magical run, and this year that's Ottawa.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. It'd be really crazy if it does wind up being Nashville versus Ottawa. That would be crazy because then you have a full-on underdog story Stanley Cup Finals. There is no big bad Anaheim or big bad Pittsburgh that's in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's two underdog teams that busted their ass to get there. Nashville played just lights out with Pekka Rinne and managed to survive this far and try to win their first ever Stanley Cup. And then you've got Ottawa, who also would try to win their first ever Stanley Cup. No, they do not count. The other cups do not count. That was the original Ottawa Senators. That's a different story. But
different league.
Different league, too. It was a Challenge Cup back then, nonetheless. But Ottawa could do the same thing. Plus, they've got the kind of the sympathy on their side with Anderson's wife. There's just a lot that would be really great to talk about. A city going for its first on both sides. Just two underdog stories going at it.
Cinderella story.
It would be so cool. I'd love to see that Stanley Cup Finals. I haven't seen one like that in a while. You always had that big bad team that was always in the Stanley Cup Finals that the underdog had to face.
Right.
Pittsburgh was last year. Los Angeles had been in previous years. Chicago the other. I'd like to see that.
Brian, you got my vote. I voted for Anaheim.
So did I. I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm trying to be real here. If you look at teams that are all around balanced, well, Anaheim right now is the only all around balanced team.
Well, yeah, but the question was what series would you like to see happen? What story would you like to come true? Not what team based on stats and postseason play. That's not what I was talking about with the Twitter poll. Twitter polls, as you as a person, what would you like to see? Who would you like to see lift the Stanley Cup at the end of the year? Obviously you would like to see your team. But I'm just saying it's not based off of stats.
Well, see, I voted Anaheim because I just eliminated the others, right? Nashville, great story, but if Lavi wins the cup, it really shows that the problem was the Flyers and not Lavi. So I didn't like that. I didn't vote for that. Penguins repeating, do I need to talk about that? No, right? Anderson, that was up there. I was in between the two and what have you. I think just, making it this far, Eastern Conference Finals, potentially even a Stanley Cup Finals, is enough. Not for the players, obviously, but I think that would be a good story too. But I went with Anaheim. I think that'd be a good story.
Me, I go with Ottawa
because of how they started the season. I did not think Anaheim would be in this position.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't. Beginning of the year, I was saying I was saying they were going to be a first-round knockout.
Right.
Now they're in the Western Conference Finals, and it's tied series.
Right.
with a broken Game 7 curse streak.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, to boot.
It's
So
broken.
maybe the problem wasn't necessarily the team. It was Bruce Boudreau.
Oh, I think we could pretty much say that it was definitely Bruce Boudreau.
Oh, yeah, I was saying that too.
I mean, look at his team this year, the Minnesota Wild. They struggled right down the end of that stretch, and they absolutely got shelled by the St. Louis Blues.
Now you said you went with the Ottawa story.
Just because, it is a feel-good story, and it would be nice to see that happen. Not only that, Ottawa hasn't won one, and I really don't harbor any ill feelings towards Ottawa. I mean, I can't. Poor team's been the rut of the litter for the better part of all the Canadian teams. I mean, that may change if they win a cup because Winnipeg's in the league now. They could be the rut of the litter, and they could stay down there because they got that piece of shit Dustin Bufflin on their team.
I don't know, Brian. I might have to change my vote because I just realized something. If Bobby Ryan wins the cup, that means he's bringing the cup to Cherry Hill, and maybe we get a little touch, little kiss on the cup.
That's perfect.
I didn't
like
think
it.
about that, but listen, if Anaheim gets eliminated in this round, I'm rooting for Ottawa for that reason right there is Bobby Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Got to stick around with, you got to root for the Jersey boy, the local cat.
Was Bobby Ryan on that 2017?
No.
No. Okay, so this would be his first Stanley Cup. All right.
I think he got drafted that year, though.
Oh, wow. So, that's interesting. Of course, he misses it. It's the year he's drafted. But anyway.
I'm going to double check that, but I'm pretty sure he was drafted in 2007.
But that would be an interesting scenario between the two. But, Brian, what was the topic you wanted to talk about to close out the show?
So, this is kind of fun. I follow a fan page on Facebook called Gloves Off Hockey. And it's a pretty cool hockey fan page. It shows you all kinds of videos and stuff. They posted a meme. It's called Out of the Eliminated well, it's a question. Out of all the eliminated teams, who had the most disappointing playoff run?
Oh, it would be the Washington Capitals. In my opinion, hands down.
I'd have to say Chicago Blackhawks.
Well, yeah. I mean, with Washington, it is kind of, expected of them. Chicago, that was
still be disappointing. I mean, I believe you me. My first instinct, yeah. But I mean, at least they came back. They beat a tough Toronto team. They pushed the defending champs to Game 7. Yeah, disappointing because you didn't get the result that you were going for, but you did do some things. The Blackhawks did squadouche, and there's no happier guy in the room than this guy who's got two thumbs and happy that the Blackhawks got swept in the first round.
I mean,
you know who?
Personally, though, I mean, maybe I'm going on that basis of the fact that it's just because Washington hasn't won one. I think that would probably be the reason why I picked them.
Sure.
With Chicago, it's kind of like, yeah, you absolutely shat the bed this year, and you should be appalled and hang your head in shame for what you did in the first round. But you have 3 cups to keep you warm at night, and to go along with it, your team's still pretty damn good, so I really wouldn't worry too much. They've pretty much still got a shot in the next few years to get another one, so I wouldn't really panic about it. Will they? I don't know. I mean, they got to go up against teams like Edmonton and Calgary that are only getting better. Anaheim, too, that's still going to be around and still be very relevant. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in the near future. But
Bobby Ryan was drafted in 2005, but he was not on the roster.
Interesting.
So he's in the organization, not on the roster.
Okay, so yes, it would technically be his first ever Stanley Cup.
No, not technically. It would actually be his first Stanley Cup.
I said it would be his first ever Stanley Cup.
I thought I heard the word technically in there.
Yes, you did hear technically because he is.
Well, it's not technical. There's nothing technical about it.
Children.
There's nothing technical about it. He wasn't on the roster. His name's not on the cup.
Okay, I got that. I was just saying it. Jesus, we gotta.
You're gonna make me rip off my A2D shirt and show my Superman shirt. And
You're trying to be Superman. He's trying to be Super Duck. That's what he's trying to be. That's what he's trying to be. He's trying to fly the V. That's what he's trying to do. Because he's got a V, but that's a different story. But anyway,
rude.
Man, you guys, that's some.
And by the way,
right
Montreal is my vote for the most disappointing playoff run.
I could agree.
Yeah.
I could agree on that one. Montreal was pretty disappointing considering the fact they were number 1 in the Atlantic. They have Carey Price. They're Montreal. They're God's hockey team. So
I'm glad you chimed in with that, Brian. To get back to this is a great question. There's a couple teams. Look about the Minnesota Wild. They were one of the dominant teams. Now, mind you, they were already scuffling coming into the playoffs, and that's why you saw what happened. a 101-point Columbus Blue Jackets team gets knocked off in 5 games, I believe.
True.
Yeah,
They set their franchise records for wins.
right. Calgary Flames got swept in the first round. I mean, maybe you see, it's not a surprise that Anaheim, maybe the more superior team, moved on from there, but that was my upset. I had picked that I thought maybe Calgary could upset the Ducks, and to get swept and not even win a game, that's pretty disappointing too. And then, as you said, Montreal, Brian.
Well, it was kind of weird because the upsets in the first round, there was really only one, and that was Nashville.
Right.
You know, everybody else who won was pretty much predictable to win. You know,
There's always that one. There's always that one upset.
yeah.
Yep.
Usually you have more, though. Usually there's like a couple. You know, one in the East and one in the West. But there was only just one, and it was in the West this year. But, strange year. But, yeah, I mean, this is actually a pretty good question because there were a few disappointing seasons. I mean, obviously, well, here's a good way to kind of bounce off of that. Who would you say, out of all the eliminated teams, had the most successful run out of all of them? You know, I mean, my opinion would be the Edmonton Oilers for being the first time in the playoffs in a long time, and they managed to get to the semifinals and damn near get to the Western Conference Finals. You know, I would say the Oilers. Brian, what would you say? Who out of the eliminated teams, who had the most successful playoff?
I would have to probably agree is Edmonton. I mean, nobody expected Edmonton to be as good as they are this year, to even make the playoffs, to even get out of the first round.
Right.
I mean, they took a huge turn, and they just kind of had the Taylor Hall trade, got Adam Larson, and they just took it and ran.
Right.
Yeah, very, very true. I mean, that was a team that we had worried about for years when they would finally get something going, and they finally did. Now, are we going to see this team dominate? You know, that's the real question because they might be on the precipice of doing just that. I don't know. Maybe Ovechkin should reconsider going to Denver.
Right.
Maybe you should reconsider that trade.
Right. A couple other teams that had a pretty good run despite being knocked off. St. Louis Blues. You didn't even expect the Blues to be in the playoffs after trading away Kevin Shattenkirk. Somehow they found a way to really not only just creep in, but they were third in the Central, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also the Rangers, too. I mean, yes, did they get beat by the Senators and towards the end really, tailed off, especially on the defensive side of the puck? Sure, but they beat that Montreal team. And they did it when a lot of people, including myself, weren't giving them much of a chance after Game 3, losing awfully at home, came back and dominated the rest of that series. And we're in it to win it against the Sens, too. I mean, certainly that series could have gone the other way. Unfortunately, it didn't in 6 games for all you blue shirt fans. I was, not too upset about that, but they still, I mean, they had a strong playoff run themselves.
True. But as for the elimination, we refer you to the little kid who was on the Rangers jersey on Facebook, cussing out literally everybody on the team, which was awesome.
You gotta love when kids don't really fully understand. That kid gets it, but he doesn't at the same time. He's just calling out everybody because he's bitter and angry.
Well, I mean, naturally you would be. You're facing the Ottawa Senators. I mean, as a kid, I would have thought, it's the Ottawa Senators. We could beat them.
What the hell is he bitter and angry about? What is he, 10 years old? It gets worse, buddy. Prepare for the bitterness to continue.
Right, exactly.
No,
the more you get to understand the sport and you get to know the players and roster, it just gets worse.
I will say this, though. I would pull the kid aside and just listen, kid, it's not as bad as you think. At least you didn't grow up in the era of 1940. At least you did not grow up with that chant in your ear every 5 seconds as a New York Rangers fan. At least.
I know I chanted that.
I think everybody did pretty much back in the day. Who didn't chant 1940 at the New York Rangers?
And now you can kind of start chanting 1994. You're getting to, 23 years since they've won a cup?
Yeah, 23 years since Messier graced his presence in New York, and the Messiah, as they called him, brought the cup with him because everywhere Messier went, he just managed to get a Stanley Cup with the exception of Vancouver. Of course, that team was okay at best.
Some good players, though.
They did, but man, they could never get past the Red Wings or the Avalanche, no matter what they did.
Not that era.
Not that era. No way, no how. I mean, that's pretty much the reason why a lot of teams suffered. The Stars suffered for the longest time. They actually had really good teams in the 90s, but they just could not get through the Red Wings or the Avalanche. No one could. Damn, man, we need to really get rid of the salary cap. We need to stack the deck on these teams again because those were some great teams back in the day. But anyway, All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. It's time for last call from all of us here on A2DRadio.com. Matt Sitsuti, along with Broken Rob Pove and the Darkwing Brian Daly. Do not miss the conference finals. It's heating up, folks. Game 3, Nashville versus Anaheim tonight. Tomorrow night, Pittsburgh versus Ottawa in Ottawa. She'll be a rocket buster of a matchup. This was all brought to you by Scanzano Sports Center, located in 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com.
Delete!
We'll see you all next week on A2DRadio.com.